All right, welcome back, guys, to my chapter 481 Lookism review. And we do have a long chapter ahead of us, so if you guys haven't already, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. So this chapter starts off with Eugene and James Lee meeting, and James is about to turn over the flash drive with the evidence of Charles Choi kidnapping Baek-kyung-gil over to Eugene. But before he does it, halfway through, he basically stops and asks him about Jinyoung Park. Where is he? Eugene's like, what business do you have with him? Then they have this whole exchange where Eugene doesn't tell him, but James is like, how can I trust you? And if I can't trust you, I can't turn over this flash drive, correct? And then Eugene's like, it looks like you're trying to turn over this flash drive in exchange for something. But right before he finishes, James cuts him off and he's like, I'm just joking with you. Here's the flash drive, and hands it over to him. Eugene hands it over to the black guy. I forgot his name. My bad. As a show of trust, Eugene tells James that Jinyoung is actually at the workers' headquarters and can't speak right now because he's gone insane. Every time they mention stuff, he starts having anxiety attacks and starts banging his head. Then James says that if he's gone insane, then there's no point in me meeting him, then I don't need to meet him anymore. After he says he doesn't need to meet Jinyoung anymore, he says I carry a lot of the blame for him going insane because he killed Gaprion Kim. Like, he just flat out says that. And Eugene's like, can you explain more? Because he said that whenever they mention the King of Soul's name to Jinyoung, he basically says the bastard killed his own father, saying that Jake's brother killed his dad, Gaprion. So Eugene's trying to find information on Jake's brother. He's like, what type of person is he? And James basically cuts him off. He's like, oh, it wouldn't help you anyway to find out anything about Jake's brother. Just focus on taking out Charles Choi. Forgive me if this is a little bit confusing, but this was a long convo between Eugene and James with a lot of details, which I'm going to talk about when I'm done with the convo. Eugene basically says that there were a lot of corporates in the murder of Gabriel and Kim, and he asked, was Jake's brother one of them? And at the end of the convo, which is when James basically tells Eugene, oh, don't worry about that. We'll just focus on taking down Charles Choi. So after James basically brushes off the convo, he asks Eugene, are you going to turn over the video to the police? And he says, no. I have one more evidence to get, and which is what he sent Daniel for, and that's when we switch over to Daniel. Okay, now to address this convo, right? Bro, this man, if Charles Choi is actually James Lee, this man is a master manipulator. Because the way he just played Eugene in this convo, he basically says that then I can't turn this over with you, making Eugene kind of feel bad subconsciously about not giving him any information. And when he's like, oh, I'm just joking with you, Eugene, here's the flash drive, Eugene doesn't even verify if the video's on there. He just hands it over to the black guy and tells James that Jinyoung is actually at their headquarters. So if Charles Choi is actually James Lee, he knows where Jinyoung is. He could basically go kidnap him anytime while there's probably nothing on the flash drive. So I'm betting there's nothing on there. So I have to say that was a masterful play by my dog James Lee right here. So I know last chapter I kind of doubted if James was actually Charles, and I was like, why would he turn over evidence against himself if that's actually him? He would have just pretended it. But now I see the bigger picture where he kind of probably gave him a little bit of evidence so he could gain information about Jinyoung Park, who's a bigger threat to him than Eugene probably is. And there's probably nothing on that flash drive. So I see the bigger picture now, and it makes me believe that James Lee is actually Charles Choi even more. Okay, so this is where we switch over to Daniel arriving at CHEOLIANG station, and basically he sees around him there's a bunch of gangster looking dudes, and he's like, what are all these gangsters doing here? Are they the gangsters of CHEOLIANG? But they all have different accents, so he's like, no, they're not all from here. And then as he's trying to get through the crowd of gangsters, he bumps into a car, and somebody steps out, and he's like, you just scratched my car, are you gonna pay for it? But Daniel's like, no, I didn't even scratch your car. I'm not going to pay for it. And he calls the car a childish car because it looks really childish in my opinion. And then basically the guy gets mad. He's about to face slam Daniel into the ground. And me, while I'm reading this, I am shocked. I'm like, you're going to do that to Daniel? And right before Daniel's face hit the ground, he's like, are you 19? Because that's the adult age in Korea. And Daniel's like, no, I'm 18. And then the guy lets it go. He's like, oh, I wasn't going to sell you the car anyway. But when you turn 19, come buy this car off me. And it's a whole comedic exchange between the two of them. And I'm like, you were really about to face slam the guy that went toe to toe for a little bit with Ultra Instinct's Daniel? That's crazy. So after that little exchange, we basically switch over to the forest where we see the first generation kings. We see the monk, Taiso Ma, gathering, and we see Kwat Jihan,
Kwat Ji Bom, representing Kwat Ji Chong, who's dead. So his brothers are coming in instead. And then we also see Seokdu and the other first gen kings. They all gather here. And then last, we see the same car that Daniel bumped into arrive at the scene. And he's about to hit Taiso Ma. And Taiso Ma turns around, literally punches straight to the engine and destroys the car. And the guy gets out. The same guy that was talking to Daniel gets out and gets like mad at Taiso Ma. He's like, are you going to buy my car now? Because you just destroyed it. And it looks like they have some history. And it turns out that the person Daniel was about to get faceland by was actually a first gen king, the king of Incheon, Jinyoung Na. I'm not good at these Korean names, so if I butchered it, I'm sorry. And then now that we see all these first gen kings gathered together, we find out why they're gathering, and it's to commemorate the death anniversary of the king of CHEOLIANG. And then we switch over to Vin Jin and the Forest also, and he's like, you geezers have gathered here today, so it looks like he knows something about them. He's known them, actually, or he's been affiliated through the last king of CHEOLIANG. And we see Vin Jin is introduced as the owner of cheonliang. And then this is where we actually see Vin Jin kind of like have a flashback to his childhood, where there's like a cultish looking thing going on of like a chicken blood, like chicken head ripped off, blood splashing all over the place. People kind of like got like worshiping. It looks all cultish, right? And then we see Vin Jin on the floor, 8-year-old Vin Jin on the ground on his knees in front of an altar, it looks like, with blood being splashed all over him. And they're basically saying, oh, I pray to thee, I offer you this monster, calling Vin Jin a monster, which is probably where he gets his, little trigger word monster from. And with that, it marks the start of the cheonliang arc, where we get to see Vin Jin's backstory along with Tae Jin, the first gen king of cheonliang, and what happened during this whole era of Vin Jin and his prime. And we also, it's kind of like a 2-for-1 arc where we also see Daniel go back there, and where we're going to find out the secret behind Charles Choi, whatever evidence that Eugene sent Daniel for. And also we're going to find out Daniel's origins, well, not his origins, but basically what his relation is to Jinyoung. And I have a suspicion that Daniel's dad is actually from Cheonliang. So if he turns out to be from Cheonliang, I may be right, because this may sound crazy, right? But if we remember that picture of Daniel's dad, he kind of like had that buzz cut, and it looks a lot like what Vin Jin had at one point. But this is just a theory I'm throwing out there, so don't take it too seriously. But I do have a suspicion that maybe both Jinyoung and Daniel's dad are from Cheonliang. So that's why Lightning Choi, or whatever his name, sent him over to Cheonliang for. Alright, so let me know what you guys think about this chapter. It was pretty long. I give it a 7 out of 10. Since we did get a lot of information, we got some new characters coming in, and we're finally going to get to see Vin Jin's backstory. So, all you Vin Jin haters, this is where he's going to prove you wrong. So, all you Vin haters, watch out. Alright, so let me know down in the comments if you guys think that James Lee is actually Charles Choi. I believe that it is now from this interaction with him and Eugene. So, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I'm going to see you guys later. Peace out.